missiles that carry destruction, ammunition that is incredibly dangerous, but still used. If nuclear weapons come to mind, then you have the right idea. Damage from exposure to hydrogen and atomic bombs is measured in millions of dollars, but no one really goes into details about why this happens. It seems to me that this is a very interesting topic for analysis. Therefore, today I'll tell you what's the secret of the destructiveness of these bombs, and indeed, how they work. Some people think that atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs are virtually the same. To some extent, this is true because both types of bombs are categorized as nuclear weapons. But to talk about the differences, first we need to understand the basic concept. Nuclear arms are weapons of mass destruction that use nuclear energy to create an explosion. This energy, in turn, is contained in atomic nuclei and is released during nuclear reactions and radioactive decay. I'm sure that the last two concepts are already familiar to you. I've mentioned similar processes occurring in the nuclei of stars several times before. But today, we move away from the topic of space and discuss what's created by human hands. So, if both types of bombs use nuclear energy, what could be the difference? The main thing is in how they explode. Let's start with an analysis of the atomic bomb. This weapon usually looks like an elongated, rounded torpedo. Nothing special, but the main danger lies inside. To get the so-called nuclear explosion, a certain reaction must occur, the chain reaction of the fission of heavy nuclei. There are several heavy elements that are capable of such a reaction. Usually, uranium-235 is used in nuclear weapons. You might have heard somewhere that not only uranium-235 is radioactive, there's also uranium-238 as well as uranium-234. Different numbers tagged to the end of an element are isotopes. To put it simply, different types of one element. But we won't go into unnecessary details, because only uranium-235 can do what we are all here for: to obtain the maximum amount of energy during the explosion of an atomic bomb. The content of 235 isotope in uranium should be at least 80%. Therefore, in the production of nuclear weapons, uranium is enriched further. But if something goes wrong with this process, there is a fallback. You can also create a plutonium bomb, which will be based on the isotope with the number 239. However, this element is rarely found in nature, which means that you'd have to try and create it artificially. Now we know enough about the inside of an atomic bomb. But how do we launch such a weapon? The nuclear explosion occurs because a certain mass of fissile material is concentrated in one place. This can also be called critical mass. When it is reached, a nuclear decay reaction is formed with the release of energy. But for a powerful explosion, one critical mass is not enough. To get a truly destructive bomb, you'll need 4 to 5 critical masses of matter. There are several ways to achieve this, but I'll talk about the main one. It's called implosive. Imagine a nuclear bomb, for example, in the form of a small ball. Inside it are all the necessary components for a nuclear reaction, but the critical mass hasn't been reached. In order to achieve this, we'll create a guided explosion from the outside. Suppose I put an explosive on the outside of the bomb and detonate it. When properly exposed, the space inside the bomb will begin to shrink towards the center of the shockwave. The density of uranium or plutonium inside will increase, and we get a nuclear explosion. What about the hydrogen bomb? In this explosive device, energy is released due to thermonuclear fusion. A very fast explosive reaction takes place inside the charge with the help of elements such as deuterium and tritium. Other heavier elements can also be used along with them. However, the main effective substance is lithium hydride. By itself, it doesn't produce an explosion, so clearly we need something else. The detonation of this substance is usually carried out by an integrated nuclear device with low power. In a simple way, it can be called a detonator. When it's activated, energy is released, which triggers an explosive thermonuclear reaction inside the bomb. Interestingly, for hydrogen bombs, there's theoretically no limit to the power. If you wish, you could create such a powerful bomb that it would simply wipe all life from the face of the earth. But I hope it never crosses anyone's mind.
Alright, Shalom, all praises, honor and glory to Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Rukak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, who taught us His 100% truth. Peace and blessing be upon the heads of the elect. The inspiration from this lesson came from Isaiah, the 13th chapter. Alright, one of the precepts. I was thinking about this precept as I was reading. Because the Lord let us know, the Lord gave us signs and warnings that we ought to look out for in these last days. And the Lord is showing these signs and warnings. Okay, with these various moons, the blood moon and the half moons, the things happening in the heavens, the chariots that are appearing all over the heavens. Israel waking up as a whole pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 37. All these prophecies are being played out in this perfect order. And one of the last prophecies that we're looking out for is what? The microchip, the mark of the beast, and ultimately these nuclear missiles. Because the Lord set this, you got to understand, the Lord set this movie up perfectly, and Esau's going to fall by his own sword. Because the Lord gave Esau that blessing of the sword. That's how he's able to run the whole world. That's the only way that he's able to conquer the whole entire earth. He doesn't have the spice. He doesn't have the culture that you Israelites have, you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We are a special people. But if Jake wants to run into Esau's playing field and try to usurp authority by these guns, which is not going to work. And you Jakes are getting killed and getting shot violently in the streets, man. And guess what? These other nations, they don't give a shit. There's a parable, I believe that's in Matthew, talks about the parable of Lazarus and how the dogs licked his wound. So these nations don't care. These nations don't care about you Israelites. Okay? The only one that's going to come and deliver us out of Esau's hand is Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai being the name of the only begotten son. And what Esau is brandishing right now in his armory is the nuclear missiles, as it was that power that was given to his hands by Isaac. So if Isaac gave Esau that blessing, Isaac's going to be the one, which if he can receive it, Isaac is Yahweh Shai. He's going to be the one to come back and destroy Esau. So this is, let me go ahead and jump down to Genesis chapter 27 and verse 38. Because Esau knows what's going on. Esau knows who the Israelites are. He knows about the dark images. He knows about the dark ages. That's one of the reasons why they named it the dark ages. He knew that our people, you so-called Negroes, okay, Haitians, all right, Jamaicans, you guys were ruling that time period during those dark ages. You see? But Esau came in power and he completely destroyed those images, broke off the noses, and set up iconoclasm. Okay? He set up his own images for the world to worship. But his kingdom is going down right now, and that's what he's realizing. Even with the power structure that Esau has set up, you know, from these banks to these different things, all being thrown down by the Spirit of the Lord. It's just by us preaching His word. And you Edomites, you know it deep inside your heart that this is it, man. That's why I preach His word every single day. And I don't see, my spirit is to hit Esau and get to knock this motherfucker out the ring, man. We see the devil falling. We have to knock him out the ring. You see? So this is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 38. And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and of the dew of heaven from above. Now this is after when Jacob snatched that blessing from Esau, and it was a fair share. Esau wanted lentils, and he wanted that bloody ass meat. So guess what? They traded off. Jacob said, "Give me your birthright, I'm gonna feed you," because Esau was a cunning hunter. That's the traits of the so-called white man. When Esau gets down and dirty, that's why he goes into Africa and these different parts of the country, because he wants to hunt. That's the traits of the so-called white. He's a bloody man, okay, and that's his natural habitat. So guess what? Isaac said, "You're gonna get the fatness of the earth. You're gonna get the sword. Ain't no spirituality gonna be about you. Your people are gonna be carnal as hell, but guess what? I'm still gonna bless you with something." So you can't say that you Edomites didn't get any blessing. It says, "And by that sword thou shalt live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck." And that happened during the time of the Renaissance. When you look at that word Renaissance, it means a revival, a rebirth. Okay, by the Bourget family. Slacking for my French, but the Bourget family came out of the Caucasus Mountains, just to sum it up. And then they began to increase, and evils were multiplied upon the earth. All right, that's the whole history of how the white man came in power. Because best believe during those dark ages, as our people were going by the names of Moors and these different stumbling blocks, you see, and these covering casts, our people had their feet on the necks of the Edomites. But this is a small time period that Esau has to rule. Let me go ahead and grab that since I spoke on it. The scriptures say it got to be precept upon precept and line upon line. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 1. "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on that dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years." Now for the average Christian out there, the first thing that comes into their mind is a red dragon with a pitchfork, or a man with horns. They might say Barack Obama. This is talking about the so-called white man. The Lord deals with nations as a whole, and there's a particular nation that is called Satan, okay? That is called the devil, which the so-called white man's characteristics is only to deceive, and the way that he is able to conquer the earth is by deception. That's what we call the so-called white man, the devil. And he laid hold on that dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. And that 1,000 years was during the time when Jake, the so-called black man, was actually in rulership, okay, back there in Europe. That's why you still have a lot of our people scattered throughout the four corners of the earth right now, because Jake as a whole, we're like the stars of the heaven, we're like the sand of the sea. As the Lord told Abraham, "I'm gonna multiply your seed wherever they are." You see? And it says, "And cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more." Now, let me go ahead and grab that word for seal. I wanted this to be a quick lesson. It might go a little longer. You know, if you don't want to watch the videos, go somewhere else. Go watch some booty shaking videos. I don't know what you jakes like. It says, from a seal, something for security. It says, as the contents of a letter, to hide, to keep in silence, to keep secret, in order to mark a person or thing. That's why it says in Job chapter 30 that they were pushed from men. Okay, even Job said it himself. He said he will not have him to even feed with his dogs, man. Cause the so-called white man was in such a low estate, and that's the power of the Lord. Just like he did to Nebuchadnezzar, the Lord is able to raise up the basis of men in power right now. You know, because the Lord even gave Nebuchadnezzar the heart of a beast. He was king, but he got what? He got proud and lifted up. The Lord gave him the heart of a beast, and he was out there in the wilderness eating like an animal. Okay, he got all this fur, you know. So during these 1,000 years, the so-called white man was given a seal. You know, his understanding was taken away from him. He couldn't have power to deceive the nations no more. Now let's go back to Revelation chapter 20. And it says, "Till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season." Now this is his little season. This is when he has time to corrupt the whole earth once again. That's why you have the whole earth out of course. All right. And now there's no denying it. This truth has been preached throughout the whole world, man. And it's a beautiful thing what we're witnessing. You know, you have guys like Vocab Malone try to upset this truth in the prophecy. You can't do nothing against this truth. This is not of man, but of the Most High. But we know that Vocab Malone was set up. He's a fucking agent for Satan. And I believe that guy's an Edomite. I don't give a damn what nobody says. The way that he's coming up against this truth and the bitterness that he has because we're waking up to who we are, he reminds me of Haman in the story of Esther. You know, when he tried to get Mordecai to bow down to him. But guess what? The elect are not bowing down to Esau. Now, I don't want to go ahead and get off topic, but this is the small season that the so-called white man has in his power. And so during this small season, guess what? He was given great power on the left-hand side. Matter of fact, before I get Revelations chapter 13, let's go ahead and grab Ezekiel chapter 38. Because the wisdom to be able to breed and make an atomic bomb, because you got to understand the differences between these atomic bombs. You have the hydrogen bomb, you have the atomic bomb, and the way that they split the molecules and the way that they break it down, that's not something of this world. That has to be given to you from a spiritual aspect. You see? So the Lord does deal with the left hand and he deals with the right hand. And on the left hand, he's dealing with Esau, Edom. You see, by giving him that knowledge, that carnal knowledge. So this is Ezekiel chapter 38. Matter of fact, let me jump down to 19. Sometimes these scriptures slip up. Ezekiel 28. There we go. Ezekiel chapter 28 and verse 1. It says, "The word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus said the Lord Yahweh, because thy heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a power, I say in the seat of God in the midst of the seas. Yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thy heart as the heart of God." Okay, and that's what these Edomites do. When you see Esau puffed up, you can look at the most simple-minded Joe Sixpack Edomite on the streets. But in his mind, he's thinking, at least I'm not a nigga. At least I'm not a wetback. I'm not a tonto. I'm not a redskin. That's what these damn Edomites are thinking, man. These desolate, just completely abominable Edomites. But that's because of that American dream and that wine that these elites have pushed onto the world. All right. It says, "With thy wisdom and with thy understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches." Now, when you look at Hollywood, for an example, Esau was he's getting his answers from the spiritual demon Satan. And the spiritual demon Satan, contrary to popular belief, he's actually the son of the Most High. The spiritual demon Satan goes to and fro, as it says in Job. What's that, the second chapter? He appears before the Most High, and he speaks to the Most High. All right? And he goes throughout the earth, and he also gives Esau some understanding on the left-hand side. So let me go ahead and jump down to verse 14. It says, "Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of the Most High, that hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire." Let me go ahead and get that word for a cherub. Alright, it says, "As a guardian of Eden, as a flanking of God's throne, as an image from hovering over the Ark of the Covenant, as the chariot of the Most High, an angelic being." So when you go to Ezekiel saw those those chariots. He said, "I seen a flying roll." Okay. Now jumping up to verse 3. It says, "Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee." And there's no secret that you can hide from the so-called white man. Okay? See, the Lord is so powerful that the Lord gave Esau the power to search out all these things on the earth. This is how you know Esau knows what this Bible is talking about. And you dumb-headed, knucklehead, bird-brained Israelites don't know what's going on. All you guys are just gonna have to die, man. The Lord's just gonna have to sweep all you guys that don't believe in this truth. All you guys that took your hand off the plow. All you guys that are just faking the funk. The Lord's just gonna have to comb through this truth, man. Because you have a lot of goons and goblins. You have a lot of demons in this truth as well that surpass the deeds of the wicked. But Esau, on the other hand, he's wiser than the children of light. Because how Esau knows these things are true, he actually goes to these artificial sites, these historical biblical sites, and he actually searches these things out. He's seen where Sodom and Gomorrah was. He's seen the brimstones. He's seen where Lot's wife stood when she got turned to a pillar of salt. Esau knows these things. And especially, best believe he knows who the prophets of the Lord are. Alright? But by them building these nuclear missiles, they're thinking in their heart that they're just gonna save them. This is just a front to scare these different nations off. Alright? Esau's not about that life, really. He's just using these nuclear missiles to pretty much brag and boast and say, we have all the power. And when he destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was to show his power before those different nations. To say that you don't fuck with America, don't fuck with Babylon the Great. But now we're living in a time now where all these nations have nuclear missiles. And the Lord has set it up that way so that the Russians can have nuclear missiles, China, North Korea, even Iran. Best believe Esau was trying to stop Iran in the beginning of this month by assassinating one of their generals. But guess what, man? It's still gonna happen because all scriptures gotta be fulfilled. And now going back to the time that they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that was a great act of power right there. You see, what happened back then was a great event that the world has never experienced. To have that type of power come down from the heavens and to just destroy a city, pretty much the whole world was looking at the so-called white man as he was a god. So this is Revelation chapter 3. And let me start at verse 13. And he do his great wonders, so that he make his fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of man. And how did that happen? With a fat boy and a little man. Those two nuclear missiles that were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And best believe those Ammonites and those Moabites, which you call Japanese and Chinese, they did not forget what happened to their countries. And I believe that's going to be one of the reasons when these nations do shoot nuclear missiles on America. That's going to be one of the reasons that they have in mind. The Japanese, they're going to be avenging their forefathers. And it says, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by his sword and did live. And that's going to a democracy. Alright? So with all those wars that were fought, we're coming to the end of this last world war. Revelations chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe comes quickly. And when you understand the second woe, that was World War II and World War III. And that was fought with what? That was fought with a typical army a typical blitzkrieg. But this time, this is going to be fought with fire, with nuclear fire. Because these nations, their heart is not, they're not going to try to operate a normal war. Trying to blitzkrieg a certain country. Trying to send to military. That's too much resources. That's too much energy and too much resources that they can lose. So what are they going to do now? They're just going to drop a missile on a whole city. And one of the major cities that are top listed and blacklisted by these different nations as well. Washington, California, New York, Miami, ATL, if I can name a few. So these different cities are on the radar for these different nations. Isaiah chapter 54 and verse. Let me start at verse 16. Behold, I have created a smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. So a certain instrument was given to Esau to create that no other nation could create, starting with the so-called white man. So Esau had to have this power, and then he had to have this knowledge first, because he's the man of sin. He's the man that was talked about the red horse in Revelations. He's the man of destruction. These Edomites cannot procreate; they can only destroy. So it was given unto him to know that to have that understanding of how to break down molecules and create nuclear missiles first. For it says, "And that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created a waster to destroy." So now that these nuclear missiles have been created, now they're bound to be used. Alright? Because pretty much these different prophecies are almost fulfilled. And as it says, the Lord is holding back the different winds from blowing. See, the Lord has angels on this earth that he's using and designated to do a certain task. He has angels that are protecting and keeping the elect, the ones that are walking in the spirit. He's protecting you on your daily basis. He has angels, as it says in Isaiah chapter 6, that's blinding the minds of our own people. And he has death angels that enter into the minds of these people just to act out a devilish act. What did that mean? Putting somebody to death, doing something just out of the normal. You see, the angels have a job to do, and they're doing it perfectly. So just like the Lord has his spiritual army, the Lord has his carnal army as well, which are those nuclear missiles. So this is Revelations chapter 7 and verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor any trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. Alright, so you get sealed with that Holy Spirit, you get reborn again. And that's pretty much all the elect are almost sealed. We only have a little bit more work to do. But after they're sealed, and guess what? The destruction is going to come. Revelation chapter 8 and verse 1. And when he had opened the 7th seal, there was silence in heaven about the space of half an hour. And I saw the 7 angels which stood before the Most High, and to them were given 7 trumpets. You see that? So there was space in heaven for about a half an hour, because that's when the destruction is going to happen. See, all these scriptures are playing out perfectly to a T. They're all playing out perfectly to a T, man. That's why you're supposed to be in the spirit of doing this work every single day, because we're at the end. And a lot of you guys that have your hand in your pockets, you're really not about this work. You see, what I'm saying through the spirit is, there are guys that really don't believe in this truth, but they're still doing videos as if the Lord is accepting that. Your heart is not in this truth. Your whole mind is not stable in this work. You really don't want to do this, but you're still doing this, man. The Lord's not accepting that. The scriptures say, if I do this willingly, then I have a reward. But if I do this unwillingly, then something is laid against me. Then that's a sin unto you, because anything other than faith is a sin. A lot of guys, their heart is not in this truth in these last days, man. A lot of guys are scared. A lot of guys, this is not what they signed up for. See, the Lord brought this thing unexpectedly upon this whole entire earth. And those that were teaching the word that are really not sincere, you're really starting to show your true colors, man. You really don't believe in this thing. And guess what? The Lord's going to kill you, man. Not just you, but your whole family, because you thought this truth was a joke. See, when you're in this truth, you don't belong to yourself. When the scriptures say we are prisoners of hope, that really means we're prisoners of hope. You don't get to do your own thing. But guess what? Because your heart was not really established in this truth, the Lord gave you over to your own imagination. You wanted to do something else, the Lord gave you over to that, but He took that Holy Spirit away from you, man. Now you're just left out here walking in the darkness, dry and hung up like a dirty rag. Yeah, that's why we're happy that we're not around a lot of men, because a lot of men, their faith is not there, man. Their faith is not there. But we're at Esau's last end, man. We're at the end of Esau's kingdom. You know? So this is Isaiah chapter 13. And verse 4. It says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of the nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation, to destroy the whole land. Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. They shall be afraid, pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travelleth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. So it's going to be so bad, because these people are going to understand when these missiles are, dropping down on America the Great. They're going from one continent to another, and they're reaching the atmosphere, and these people can actually see these missiles dropping down. Their hearts are going to be fainting within themselves. Then they're going to see the elect being beamed up, which are going to consist of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The elect of that nation, they're going to get beamed up. All right, you so-called white people are going to be asking questions and actually starting to think to yourself, those Israelites were always right. All right, all you scoffers and all you guys that fell out the faith, all you guys that are not doing this work, you took your hand off the plow, you're going to be left out here to burn, man. There ain't no excuse. The Lord's not looking for excuses. He's looking for those that are willing to do this work. But that day is going to be very, very evil. Evil if you're wicked, and good if you're sincere. I'm going to go ahead and get my last precepts. Malachi chapter 4 and verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble. And the day that cometh shall burn them up, said the Lord of hosts, that they shall leave them neither root nor branch. So all you guys that are proud, we have a lot of proud out there as well. The Lord's not dealing with that pride spirit, man. And all that do wickedly. All you guys that don't have the truth, the two-thirds of people in the world, and you guys that are in the truth, but you're not really teaching the truth wholeheartedly. You're teaching the truth, but your mind is in the world. You really don't believe in this thing. You're half-assing and you're lukewarm. Or you took your hand out the plow. You think you can sneak back in the Lord's house like the Lord don't see your ass. All you guys are going to be left out here to burn, man. Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 12. And this should be the plague where the Lord will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. And this is ultimately for the controversy of Jerusalem. When you go into that word controversy, it means a long-standing argument. Okay? You still have people still saying we're not the Israelites. Then if we're not the Israelites, then who are? Definitely ain't those fake Jews in the Holy Land. You see? And nobody else is fulfilling Ezekiel chapter 37, going out there on the highways and byways, holding the sign, bringing it to 2 kingdoms together as one. Nobody's doing that, man, except us. So it has to be us. Plus the curses pretty much let you know who the Lord's people are. You see? But because of these different nations, what they did to the Lord's people by further afflicting them than what the Lord did, then the Lord's gonna turn around and afflict them. That's the only reason why he set up Esau. Just when you look at the ancient Egyptians afflicted the Lord's people, and the Lord what? The Lord turned around and killed his firstborn and put almighty plagues upon Egypt. The same thing is with what the Lord is doing to Babylon right now, all these plagues. But the ultimate plague is going to be those nuclear missiles. It says their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their holes shall consume away in their Salakia. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. Alright? That's going to be the ultimate plague, man. That gives you an image of what's going to happen in these last days. So that's why the scripture said, blessed is he that has part in the first resurrection. Revelation chapter 20 and verse 6. Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power. But they shall be the priests of the Most High and of Yahushua, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. That's right, man. So, truly it's a true blessing that we're able to preach his word. And, we're hoping for that mercy. We're hoping for that mercy. That's why we do what we do. You don't want to have that condemned mindset when the Lord comes back. The Lord said he's going to be a bride that's going to be unspotted without blemish. If we want to be that bride, that's what we're giving everything that we need to do. See, I'm the type of person, if I put my mind to something, I make sure I get it done. Okay? And as a man fighting for this truth, you got to understand that you're not just fighting for you, you're fighting for your families. And ultimately, you're fighting for 2/3 of Israel, even though these niggas don't understand that we're fighting for them. But they will understand in the kingdom, though. All right? But, matter of fact, let me grab this, because America is going to be destroyed. America is going to be destroyed by nuclear missiles, man. The spirit has me jumping from here to there, but it's all right. Jeremiah chapter 50 and verse 3. For out of the north there shall come up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. So after Babylon is destroyed, nobody's gonna live in America ever again. You see? Isaiah chapter 13. No, verse 13. It says, therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as a chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone to his own land. So you so-called white people, you guys are orphans. You guys don't have no father. Okay? You guys are bastards, man. Your father is the spiritual demon Satan. The Lord is not going to protect you, so-called white people. So guess what? In that day when those missiles are raining down America, you're going to be as a chased roe. When you ever see a sheep in headlights, it's stuck there. They can't move. That's how you so-called white people are going to be. And also 2/3 of our people who are of their father, the devil. It says, everyone that is found through shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. So all, your LeBron James, your Oprahs, your Dwayne Wades, your Michael Jordans, they're all going to fall by the sword, man. They're living it up right now, and live it up. This is Esau's kingdom, and this is also the kingdom of two-thirds of our people. Because two-thirds of our people don't want to wait for the kingdom of heaven. Okay, they rather sell their soul right now and live it up here. They rather enjoy pleasure for a season. We're not here to enjoy this deceitful pleasures and the deceitful gifts, man. You see, we're here to serve the Lord, and we're here to bring in the kingdom. We're in the state of John, paving the path, make way for him, whose shoes that we cannot wear. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But the wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures. And the owls shall dwell there, and the satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in the desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. So America will never be inhabited again. Because when we get beamed up into those chariots, we're not coming down to America. The Lord's probably going to take us to a safe zone, whether that be, I don't know, but the Lord knows. When we get beamed up into the chariots, we are going to go to a safe zone. Okay? Revelation 21:1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. So the first earth and the first heaven, which is, this is Esau's heaven right now. There's a parable that goes on in the world. The black man's hell is the white man's heaven. Well, this is the so-called white man's heaven. But guess what? It's about to be turned into his hell. And I saw the new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. You see that, man? So the elect are going to be coming down. What are they going to do? They're going to get to work. They're going to collect those that made it in the bunkers. They're going to collect the elites that are hiding out in those space shuttles, or hiding out in deep space, or in the deep sea. In these bunkers, they're all going to be rounded up. Okay? And the rest of our people that are rebels, they're all going to be purged out, man. 2nd Ezra chapter 13. Salakia. Bear with me. Second Ezra chapter 13 and verse 12. Afterward, as I saw the same man come down from the mountain, and called unto him another peaceable multitude. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and others were brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I had awaked and said, Thou hast showed thy servants wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. So this is what Ezra told the angel, man, because Ezra saw many mighty visions, and he saw how Yahweh came down and gathered, the rest of our people, because some countries are going to be safe zones. When the scriptures go into America being destroyed, America will be destroyed, Israel will be destroyed, but some countries will be safe zones. So with that, I pray you brothers are edified. There's just a brief summary of the coming destruction that's going to befall Babylon the Great and upon all the wicked. And it's going to be on to the next one. Hey, Shalom.